Having a child who has multiple allergies, um, obviously this is really the first time I've dealt with this in a bigger way. And it's an interesting mixed bag because um, first of all, you're constantly questioning if your child um, starts sneezing or coughing right after eating something that they never reacted to before, whether maybe they're developing a new allergy or something um, has happened where they're reacting in a specific way. Allergies are such a mixed bag that you can develop new ones, you can outgrow old ones, you can have a more or less severe reaction to the same product. Um, Usually, depending on how much of the protein you react to is in that product. Well, the question is sometimes like, let's say you're allergic to peanuts. One peanut one day has less of the peanut protein in it that you react to than another peanut another day is how it ends up being. Same for wheat, same for cashews, same for milk products. Um, and hence why sometimes people might be unable to drink milk but are okay with yogurt, for example. But and might be able to have goat milk or buffalo milk but not cow's milk. But I mean, like, you could end up where in a situation where you are eating something which normally you're okay with, maybe a small amount of cross contamination or something, and on that particular day you have an active cold. And even that, like, your immune system being fighting off a cold can make it so that your body is unable to tolerate the amount of allergen you normally would be able to tolerate. Um, and similarly, if you are eating something and you might go exercising, um, that can have a reaction in your body. There's these medical treatments called oral desensitization therapy. Um, and a common one is um, sublingual therapy. Another one is oral integration therapy. And basically, you would ingest a small amount of what causes your allergy. Um, these can be beneficial to an extent for people who have absolutely severe um, allergies, like where they may react to the smallest amount of cross contamination, like something that says may contain traces of. Um, or like, I don't know, you happen to touch a peanut, rub your mouth, and all of a sudden you've got hives all over. They could be beneficial for that, in some ways. But there comes a point where, like, for example, if you do OIT, you might be at a point where you're eating one peanut a day or two peanuts a day, or having, you know, milk that's okay in baked products but not drinking milk. There's like ladders you can go up, and amounts you can increase by. But the problem is everything above that amount is usually still going to be too much for your body. So if you are at a point where you're able to eat two peanuts a day, you can't just go and eat three or four or 10. You can't just go and eat like a Reese's peanut butter cup and go, oh, I can eat two peanuts a day, therefore I'm fine. This is to prevent you usually from having a severe reaction to the cross sensitivity. And so, in my case, my son is not actually so severely allergic that cross contamination is something he can't tolerate. He is anaphylactic to wheat and cashews, and he will have an anaphylactic reaction if you feed him pure on wheat. But if he, excuse me, if he has fries that are fried in a shared fryer, like where they've done breaded chicken in or something like that, he gets rashes on his body, but he has never had an anaphylactic reaction in those cases. And because of this, I don't feel like oral integration therapy is actually the best option for him. Um, because honestly, he already can tolerate that low amount. Um, and we would get to a point where, oh, maybe I'm like forcing him to have to eat like a quarter slice of bread a day or a half a slice of bread a day or something. And I just don't feel like that's really in his best interest because, like I say, you still have that situation where more than what you were feeding becomes a problem. And it's something which I've known of at least one child, but I know it exists out there as well, where they bypassed their OIT safe level and they had a severe reaction. And sometimes it happens because you're exercising afterwards. Sometimes because, like I say, you have a cold. For whatever reason, it just like doesn't sit with you that day. You end up with a bad reaction. So you never know if you're going to have a bad reaction anyhow. Allergies are unfortunately like that. You can outgrow them any time in your life. You can end up with worse ones any day. You could bite your tongue and have more exposure to the allergen that you normally are okay with. But at the end of the day, if you tolerate small amounts, I'm not saying what to do with your life. This is not like medical advice. I'm just saying if you tolerate small amounts, I don't personally feel that OIT is probably the best way to go. But that's just my opinion.